Eagle Nation, time for another summer sit down as we transition into the Georgia Southern football season, coming up with Morgan State coming to town on September the 3rd at Allen E. Paulson Stadium to officially open the Clay Helton era. We visit today with offensive coordinator Bryan Ellis, a Georgia native, won a state championship at Peach County High School. Coach, appreciate the time today.
Yeah, man, appreciate you being here. Go Eagle Nation.
We visited during the Hail Southern Live show on National Signing Day back in February, and it was still very new, you being back in your home state and getting a chance to coach at this institution. But having been here a few extra months, what other things have you been thinking about getting a chance at Georgia Southern?
Well, for one, I'm thankful to be here. Not to speak negative, ill will about any other place I've been, but just the tradition here, the following, the fans, everything that's involved at Georgia Southern University, man, it's been really, really special to, here for about 6 months now and getting to be a part of it. And really thankful for the players that we have. These kids, we work them and they work hard and they don't bat an eye. And as a coach, there's not much more you can ask for than that.
It is a very different look to the roster. There's going to be somewhere around 130 guys by the time we get close to the opening kickoff. But with the guys that are coming back, listening to you and Coach Helton talk about crafting this new offense and using some of those returners in different ways, it seems like the cupboard isn't necessarily as bare as what met the eye from some of the national pundits.
Well, I sure believe it's not. I haven't been in the Sun Belt, playing a couple games here and there, playing in the bowl game against App State. So I'm not as familiar with what we're going to go against week in and week out. But, I have been really, really impressed, with the way our guys work, the camaraderie between the group, between the team. The biggest thing that we've been preaching to our guys is trying to tell them that they are good. Like, you got to have confidence, man. When you walk out there, you got to believe you're good and you got to know you're good. And there's a little bit of swagger that goes into that. And I have been really, really pleased with the way our players work, the way they prepare, and the talent level that we have. I think we got a chance to be a really, really special group on offense. And, we start camp, you're working all week, you're practicing, and we're ready to get going. I'm ready to get back on the grass with them and get going, man.
It's easy to look at Western Kentucky's numbers last season with Bailey Zappi and the most prolific passing offense in the history of college football, where you're throwing it 2/3 of the time. But at your Savannah luncheon, you were pretty specific about if this team could run 80 plays a game, you'd want it to ideally be 40 pass and 40 run. But how have you gone about trying to achieve that balance with the time that you've had with this group?
Working a lot of both things. You walk in, the first thing you do when you get to a new place is you try to evaluate your talent level. And in my opinion, good coaches build their offenses around the players that they have. And it starts with the quarterback. You build your offense around what that guy does well. But you look at what we have offensively and where the success has come previously, we have really, really good running backs. And when before they've run the ball as much as they have, that's no surprise. So we're not going to go out there and not utilize the talent that we have. You look at Gerald Green, you look at Jalen White, a couple of the young guys that we have, it's a really special group. So my goal and my job as the offensive coordinator is to put together the best plan for us week in and week out to go attack the opponent that we play and to win the football game. And if that takes 60 runs or if that takes 60 passes, quite frankly, that's what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to be upset with winning.
Whatever offense that you've been with, it's been predicated on having a strong running game. Go back to some of those Western Kentucky teams. Leon Allen was outstanding. You had Anthony Whale step in after he got hurt the one year, of course, working with Ronald Jones, who is now a stud with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning a Super Bowl in the NFL. So even though it feels like Eagle Nation is conditioning themselves to understandably see more passing, you've got a well-stocked cupboard in terms of your running backs with the guys that you already mentioned. And I know with Amari and Terrence, you guys are really excited about them as well.
Well, as coaches, you get – and in football in general, you get a lot of publicity about the passing game. There's there's a fun in it. There's those things. But when you look up at the end of the year and you look in the championships, no, it doesn't matter where it is, the Super Bowl, the national championship, the SEC championship, the Sun Belt championship, and to be quite honest with you, you look up at the Conference USA championship last year, West Kentucky versus UTSA. Be quite honest, we probably didn't win the game because they can control the clock. They could run the football. They could do a lot of things that, quite honestly, that last year we couldn't do. We won 2 championships at Western Kentucky in 2015 and 2016. You look at our rushing numbers, it all predicates with each other. And we want to be able to play an attacking style of offense and run the football downhill right at people. And when you do that, you're going to force teams to play one high. You're going to force teams to cover your guys one-on-one, and that's when you go beat them. That's when offenses are at theere best. That's when you look up when we're really good at USC in 2017. We're really good at WKU 2016, 2015. And when we had a really good team in 2019 at WKU, it was because both things set up each other. We're able to run the football really well. So as a defense, they got to pick their poison. You look at some of the things that again, is a credit to our quarterback last year. You look at some of the defenses we were playing at WKU last year. It's 2 high, it's 3 high. They got 4 or 5 guys in the box. They're covering the whole world, and we're still having to throw the football. And that's a tough world to live in. I mean, as a coach, it got tough there's not a lot of space to throw it out there. So when you can do both, I think that allows you to go play football at a championship level. And that allows you week in and week out, something's not working, you're trying to throw the football and for whatever day, the quarterback's having a bad day that day for whatever reason. And you're able to hand that ball off a couple of times and it splits and it hitting and we're still moving the ball. It sure makes, as a coach, the comfort level comes back really, really quick, and it allows the quarterback to get back into a rhythm and those things. So having the ability to do both, I think, is what allows you to go win championships. Is it fun to look up and throw for 500 yards in a game? Yeah, sure it is. But, for me, it's fun to look up in a game and have 600 yards of offense and you threw for 400 and ran for 200.
I think about Coach Helton's experience, Coach Applin's experience being a 2-time Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year at Arkansas State, but also Richard Owens has spent time as an offensive coordinator as well when he was at UAB. So when you've got that many scientists in the lab, how do you go about crafting this Georgia Southern offense?
It fitted around the players, and that's one thing when we hire coaches is, we don't want ego guys. We don't want guys that we think they think it's about them. It's not. It's like I said, we're not great on offense in 2020, and we are really good on offense in 2021. And be quite honest with you, we ran pretty much the same place. It's just one year you're really good, and one year it's just one of those years. So it's about players. It's about putting those guys in position to go be successful. Like you said, we have a really, really good staff, no question about it. Great camaraderie between the staff as well. And I think as a team, your players see that. Your staff has to get along. Your staff has to like each other. And it trickles down from there. And, I hope the rest of the world doesn't find out very quickly, but I truly believe we have the best offensive line coach in the country. And, there's not an amount of money that can be paid to that man that could get the worth, because he's worth every dollar that whatever he makes and times 10, I can assure you. And we are very, very fortunate at Georgia Southern to have Coach Owens. And, when you look up at what I love about Coach Owens is he's coaching a bunch of different offenses, a bunch of different schemes. And every year you look up, his football team's got 9-10 wins, playing for championships. And the O-line, he's got 3 all-conference players. And, he's recruited at a high level everywhere he's been, at both easy places to recruit and some places that aren't the easiest place in the world to recruit. And he's still signing high-level football players and producing and developing those guys to be high-level football players. So I can't say enough about our entire staff. I love every one of them. I think they're all brilliant in what they bring to the table. But Richard Owens is as good of a football coach as I've ever been around.
I want to stick with that offensive line for a moment, because those interior 3 could all be Sun Belt Conference by season's end, with Brian Miller, with Logan Langmeyer, with Khalil Crowder. You've got Caleb Kelly, who has played everywhere on the offensive line since coming here in 2017. Rasheed Miller has gotten a lot more looks in spring practice. He could make a step forward this year, but also somebody like Danny Corbett transferring in from Campbell. One of the biggest offensive lines we ever saw when they visited Paulson Stadium back in 2020. So it looks like that unit is quickly becoming a strength.
And they have, and I think, you know, they work at it. If you saw them this summer, there's not a group on our team that works harder than that group does, and it starts at the top. Their coach is one of the hardest working coaches you'll ever be around, and it trickles down to the players. And you know, I've been in a lot of places. I've been coached at the highest level at USC, and most years, you look at last year, we're the number 2 scoring offense in the country, and we really had 6 or 7 O linemen that we even felt good about putting in the game. Well, at USC, we won the Pac-12 championship in 2017, and we probably had 7 O linemen that we played with the entire year. And that's pretty normal. For us at Georgia Southern right now, we got 10 guys that I feel good about putting in a football game right now. And that's saying something. That's hard to do. So, you know, you look at the development that's come since we've gotten here to now. You know, we got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do, but we're trending in the right direction. And to have the available bodies that we have and having 10, you know, football players that we feel good about putting in a game, to be honest with you, I've never experienced that before. So that is especially at that position, that is an extremely good problem to have.
It feels like there's good problems to have in a number of areas, even receiver with Amari Jones, Caleb Hood, Darius Lewis occupying the center of the field. All of them have had experience catching the ball in pitch phase and the option and have been running backs in some way, shape, or form on the outside. Derwin Burgess took a big step forward towards the end of last season. I know a number of the coaches have raved about Jeremy Singleton coming in from Houston. And it feels like at the skill position that there's an opportunity for this offense to really do something.
Absolutely. I have been, you know, it's a credit to those guys of how hard they work, but I have been pleasantly surprised at how talented we are on the perimeter. You know, and here's the deal. Offensively, the years that we've been really, really good on offense, we were really good at throwing perimeter screens and getting the ball out of our hand fast, blocking on the perimeter, getting the ball quickly in the hands of our playmakers. And the years we haven't been great on offense, we weren't good at doing it. And it's pretty much that simple. I think when you have the ability to catch the quarterback to catch the ball and throw it out on the perimeter, and those guys to block for one another, and you go get 8, 9, 10 long chunk play yardage on those simple plays, when you look over at the defense, they're going, I don't know what to do. When you do that, now you're able to create explosive plays and throw the ball down the field because you're getting the secondary to play downhill, to have to run to the line of scrimmage, and then you're able to run by them. When they're able to backpedal and you're having to throw it while they're trying to backpedal as well, it's tougher throwing for you. So you'll be able to see, I'm a firm believer, you watch the first 3 games of the 2022 Georgia Southern Eagles, and we are really good at throwing perimeter screens. We're probably going to be pretty good on offense. If we're not, we're going to struggle. And that is, and I tell our receivers all the time, as much as I love them catching and all the things that they do, if they don't block, they don't get to play. And we throw it enough that everybody's going to get their turn. But when it's not your turn and it's your turn to block, you got to get it done, or you're going to be standing beside me. And in 2022, you'll probably be in the transfer portal. So they know that don't come to me about missing a block and all those things. You got to block your butt off, because when it's your turn to catch it and you catch one of those perimeter screens, what do you want your buddies doing for you? You want them blocking, right? So, you know, you try to preach to them unselfishness. And I think when the guys look up and they see 50 throws in a game and 35 completions, there's plenty to go around, guys. You just, when it's not your turn, you got to do your job. And, you know, I think they've bought into that. You spend a lot of time, O-line and in the receiver room, you spend a lot of time building a camaraderie with one another, a brotherhood, and you want that on a team. But in each unit, it is so important in that O-line room and that receiver room for those guys to be a tight-knit brotherhood, because when it's time to go out there and play, they're gonna it's just innate. It's subconsciously, if you look to your right and you know you got a block for your buddy right there and you love him, there's a different vibe. There's a different effort level that just subconsciously takes over when you're out there doing that. And those things are extremely important to me.
And we've gotten pretty deep into this, and we haven't even mentioned Kyle Van Triesche. We had a chance to visit with him on National Signing Day as well. And of course, you coached some really good ones at Western Kentucky with Brandon Dowdy, with Bailey Zappi last year that you already mentioned, but also at USC with JT Daniels and Sam Darnold before he was the number 3 overall pick. We know a little bit about Kyle from those interactions, but what else do you think Eagle Nation is going to find out about number 6?
Well, the thing that I've been so impressed with him is his toughness. I believe, and through a lot of things, but I believe the number one aspect of a good quarterback is the toughness. Your team rallies around the quarterback. They always say the team takes on the personality of the head coach, which is correct. But the team also takes on the personality of their leader. And if your leader is not your starting quarterback, you're going to have a hard time. And when your leader is the hardest worker on the team, the toughest guy out there, then your team's probably going to be a tough team. And that's what I've been so impressed with him. And that's what I've been preaching to him is he has to show that. He has to – everybody else has to see his mentality of, yeah, I play quarterback, but, hey, he weighed in today at 227 pounds. He looks like a linebacker. I mean, he's 6'3", he's 227 pounds. He is a big, physical-looking man, and he's 23 years old. He's not a kid anymore. He's getting to play in a little bit different offense than what he had played in at Buffalo, which probably is the reason why we got him. Getting to have the ability to come out and throw the football as much as we plan on throwing it. I really believe Eagle Nation is going to be extremely impressed with what they see and take him under his wing. And after this year, I think there's going to be some special things happening for that young man.
Okay, with fall camp fast approaching for this team, what are the immediate things that need to be considered as the squad takes the field in preparation for Morgan State and the rest of the season? Well,
we've got to develop enough guys to be able to make it through a season. I know I talked about the depth in the receiver room and the depth in the O-line room. We've got to develop enough guys that, football is a collision sport. There's things that are going to happen. We've got to you look at, there's 130 people on the team. There's 85 scholarship guys on the team. So on our side of the ball, we got 41 scholarship players. You walk out there during the season, 30 of those guys got to be ready to go help you win football games. And that's where we've got to get, and it's coming along. I love where we are right now, but we got to walk into Morgan State going, all right, these guys are ready to play the game. And then by game 4, you've got to have even more guys develop. And that by game 4, that's really when your freshmen, those guys that are first-year players, and not necessarily your transfers. Those guys have been in a college weight room and in those wars that football is. But your freshmen by game 4, you've got to know which ones are able to help you this year and which ones you got to put on the shelf for next year. And that's what our 25 practices are going to look into doing. We've got to develop that and across the front. I told you I felt good about 10 of them. I'd like to get that number. I think there's 2 or 3 more in there that we could get ready to go. And you talk about traveling 11. Normally you take 11 O-linemen to a football game. If you take 11 guys at the game that you feel good about playing, I mean, that, like I said, I've never experienced that before. So to have that availability, I think it will be huge for us.
Can't wait to watch it going forward. Excited for the start of fall camp and the season. Bryan, appreciate the time today. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're looking forward to it too. We got about 5 days, so we're ready.